What is shaking? It's Friday. It's October. You can see from the pumpkins on our screen. It's very, very cool. I like that a lot. And this show is brought to you by Fieldwork, the official non-alcoholic craft beer of the San Jose Sharks. Although if you watch a Sharks game last night, at the end of the game, you probably needed something with a little more octane. Maybe not as much octane as Phillies fans, who probably needed straight gasoline and at the very least moonshine after that meltdown. That was rough, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about football, college football, a little pro football with Dr. Bob Stoll. DrBobSports.com is where you want to go to get all the information. Like I say, even if you don't bet football, you just want to be smarter about the sport itself, go check out the write-ups. There's a lot of leans on there, which has been profitable over the years. You could certainly do that and have a good time. That's what we all try to do on a weekend. What's up, Bob?
Doing all right, man. How are you?
I can't complain. Say it works better though when I come out here and the hose is turned off when I turn it on. It's just, trying to get the hose and water shooting everywhere. And yeah, what are you going to do? We don't need a white, wet t-shirt contest to start off the show. That's not what we need.
Definitely not guys our age.
No, not at all. All right, let's get to the games. Got a few really good games this weekend, and I want to start with one of the early ones, Bama going to Mizzou. Now, Mizzou's looked good. Mizzou hasn't really played anybody, and Mizzou hasn't left home. I mean, the show me a road trip. Well, they don't have one. They've played at home the entire time, and Bama just continued. Granted, they played the much tougher schedule, but Simpson looks better and better. The receiving core is top notch. Getting Jam Miller back helps the run game. I'm a little worried about their run defense, which hasn't been all that stout against a team that can really run the ball. That's like the rub. That's probably why it's gone from 4.5 to 3, which seems about right to me. And you got to ask yourself, how many games can Bama get up for? They had Georgia that they had to grind away. They had Vanderbilt they had to grind away. They covered on basically the last play of the game in that one. So I worry about that a little bit. I think it's probably one to watch, but this is probably going to be a tough game for Bama, I would think.
It's not like Bama goes, hey, we got Missouri this week, let's get fired up. It's not Georgia. So I don't think this is a game they naturally, even though Missouri's good and they're ranked, I don't think it's a game Alabama circles and says we really got to rally, and let's get fired up. And Missouri had the week off last week. I mean, that's a good spot for a good team that's a home underdog after a week off. In fact, I got a little stat for you as I do from time to time. Conference home underdogs that are 500 or better on the season. Of course, Missouri's undefeated, so they certainly qualify. Going back to 1980, over 400 games like that of a conference home underdog, 500 or better off a bye week. Those teams are 56.4% against the number on over 400 games going back decades. So that has historically been a really good spot, and Missouri qualifies in a really good subset of that. So the situation certainly favors Missouri. I do like the matchup. You mentioned the running game, and I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Missouri's averaging 310 rushing yards a game, 6.7 yards per rushing play against teams that aren't that bad defending the run. The teams they face would allow 5.3 yards per rushing play to an average team, and 5.1 is the national average. So they've run against decent run defenses. And Bama, although their defense is really good in general, 1.9 yards, they're 1.9 yards per pass play better than average, which is elite level. But their run defense, only 0.2 yards per rushing play better than average so far this season, which is not good for an SEC team. They give up an average of 206 rushing yards at 6.4 yards per rushing play to the three good running teams they face, which are Florida State, Georgia, and Vandy. Missouri's probably the best of all of them. So I think it's going to be a matchup problem for Alabama's defense. Missouri has no problem running the ball 40 times a game because that's what they've been doing. And throwing against Bama is a problem. So I think Missouri matches up pretty well. You mentioned Ty Simpson. I think he's become one of the better quarterbacks in the country. But Missouri's got a good defense, and their defense is really good as well. I just think a home underdog with a good defense that can run the ball and just have the week off, I think Missouri +3 is the way I would lean there.
Yeah. All right, let's go with Big Ten, Michigan coming out. It's a Rose Bowl. We get a Rose Bowl in October. This is incredible. So Michigan comes out. Their quarterback Underwood's getting a little bit better, and it's kind of like a Michigan team, right? They're defensively sound. They can run the ball a little bit. Not at the elite level they have for the past few years, but SC's a weird team. Like offensively, there are times I go, wow, how do you even stop this team offensively? And I thought the defense was better until they visited Illinois. It didn't look great, but those Big Ten road trips seem to be a killer. Teams traveling a couple time zones in the Big Ten, just something happens to them. I'll get to Penn State in a minute when we talk about the Oregon-Indiana game, but I think Lemon may be the best wide receiver I've seen this year, by the way. Well, let me take that back. Smith, Ohio State is good, and Moore, Oregon's really good. But Lemon, he's one of those guys not a lot of people talk about, and he's just been fantastic for USC. So I like USC here. This is one of the games that I did bet. I took them 2.5. I could have got it at 1.5, I guess, if I'd waited, but it's back up to 2.5. I think the travel and their offense is a little better than – I think their offense versus Michigan defense is going to be the difference. But how do you see it?
Yeah, my first instinct was, USC minus 2.5. That seems all right. I'd probably favor USC there. But I dug into it, and I'm like, Michigan's offense is better than I thought it was. Yeah. Bryce Underwood's averaging 7.2 yards per pass play. They got a new lead running back, Justin Haynes, who transferred in. He's averaging 131 yards a game at 7.7 yards a pop. I mean, their run game is better than it's been in recent years. I mean, they're really offensively, this is the best team they've had since the championship team. I guess it was just 2 years ago, but last year they really struggled offensively. They have a really good offense. And you mentioned the Trojans defense. They are a little better than they've been the last couple of years, but they did get exposed by Illinois. Thing is, Illinois can throw the ball and likes to throw the ball. I don't think, Michigan's going to be throwing it around the yard, but I do think Michigan's going to be able to score around 30 points. And then it's like you said, it comes down to USC's elite offense, like one of the best offenses in the country. Yeah. Well, they're averaging 565 yards, 8.6 yards a play. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, how good they are. Even against, Illinois, they move the ball. They move the ball against a Michigan State defense that, not great, but it's a Big Ten defense. Now, Michigan, their defense is really good. They did give up 24 points to Oklahoma. They gave up 27 points in Nebraska. So it's not like they're dominating. And USC, I think, can also get to around 30 points. It's one of those games where my math favors Michigan a little bit based on this year's data. But Lincoln Riley teams always better at home than they are on the road. In his career, and this goes back to his days at Oklahoma, he's 12-24-2 against the number on the road. Much better at home, 29-22 against the number at home. 10-2 against the spread when favored by 14 or less at home. I think that I picked the Trojans to win. I'd have trouble laying anything just because my math kind of leans with it has Michigan as the better team. So it's one of those games I just don't really have much of a thought on as far as the number goes. But good luck, with your minus 2.5.
Good luck to me. All right, let's go to another one I'm starting to find enticing. Now, you hit this nail on the head last week. We were talking about Indiana and Oregon and where that line may end up. And you said your numbers had it around 5.9, I think it was. Might end up 7.5. It's 7 now. I thought it'd be closer to 10. It was 8.5.
I said it would open around 8.5, and it did. Yeah, and
absolutely
it came back down. Now it's down to 7.
And you also said something that I'm going to go against this week, but because you said if I don't have a reason to bet against Kurt Cignetti, I'm not going to. I don't know that I have a reason, but I'm going to this week. So we're playing 7 at home, and look, Cignetti's unbelievable. He's just fantastic. His teams, the way he's turned that team around, transformed him into like a physical football team that's efficient offensively. They can run and pass. I mean, he's just been a magician over the last year and 4 or 5 games. Their offense slowed down a little bit against Iowa last week. I think that was their first game on the road. So they're going to go into Autzen Stadium. They're going to have Oregon's full attention. And I know a lot of people are downgrading Oregon for the win against Penn State because Penn State got blasted by UCLA. And by the way, leadership, someone should tell James Franklin, the head coach of Penn State, leadership after you get beat as a 20-point favorite doesn't look like, well, they look like they're a little emotionally drained. We had some injuries and the travel got us. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, come on. And that was piss poor, as my dad would say. That's just horrible leadership as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, I'm not going to downgrade Oregon too much for the win against Penn State, because I think that might have been a different Penn State team. And they dominated that game until the last couple drives of the game. So I just like Oregon's physicality. I like the efficiency of their offense. They have 2-3 running backs, which seemingly they always do. I mentioned the kid Moore, the wide receiver, who's fantastic, and Moore, the quarterback, who's been really good this year. And now that it's at 7, I'm going to take Oregon here. I'm going to hate myself. I know I'm going to hate myself because I don't like betting against Indiana. I like betting on Indiana, but I'm going to go with the Ducks here.
And Signetti was a magician at James Madison as well. So it's not like
I know he was. He's been incredible.
He's 70% against the number in his career.
It's unbelievable.
And it's just, he's the best spread coach in the history of college football.
And I'm the idiot going against him.
I just don't. You mentioned Indiana struggling against Iowa. They only scored 20 points. They averaged 6.7 yards per play against Iowa, who's got an elite defense. So it's not like they didn't move the ball. They just didn't cash in. And, now they're facing an Oregon defense that's better than Iowa's defense. And last year, Indiana had a very good offense as well, but they relatively struggled against better defensive teams. And that could be the case, although they didn't relatively struggle against Iowa on a yards per play basis, because they were actually slightly better on a yards per play basis adjusted for the defense against Iowa than they've been overall. And they've been elite offensively overall. Oregon's been elite offensively as well. Moore's done a lot better than I thought he would. Although I had questions about their performance against an elite defense against Penn State, and they did not play relatively as well offensively against an elite defense as they have in general. So although the knock on Indiana's offense under Signetti is like, well, they tend to relatively struggle against good defensive teams. Well, Oregon just showed that same thing. So I'm not sure that's really an answer. Now, defensively, Oregon's been fantastic. They're 1.5 yards per play, better, more than that, about 2 yards per play, better than average defensively this year. But the Hoosiers have a really good defense. Last year, they were 1.5 yards per play better than average defensively. This year, the exact same thing. They held Illinois, who we just talked about, a good offensive team. They held them to 10 points and 3.6 yards per play. They held Old Dominion to 14 points. You might have thought, well, that's Old Dominion. Old Dominion has a very, very good offense.
Yeah.
And just look at their stats. And they held them to 14 points. So Indiana's got a legit defense as well. So it just comes down to, well, this is another test for Moore to see if he can raise his level of play against a good defense. I think it's too many points. Yeah, I'd rather have Indiana. So I made it. Yeah, I made it 3. I mean, I don't think the line should be 3, but I think the line should be around 5, like I said last week. And I'll take 7 with a coach who covers the spread 70% of the time. So I see it the other way, but I can see it going both ways. But I'd rather have Indiana.
It's my old Pac-12 allegiance. It's just hard to get rid of. USC and Oregon. Let's see if they take me down. Let's go to one more game before we get to an NFL game that also has Pac-12 ties. And this one I have no opinion on. BYU going to Arizona. It was 2.5. I think it's down to 1.5 now. I got to be honest. I'm not super impressed with either of these teams. I haven't seen as much of BYU. Arizona's defense is definitely better than I thought it was going to be. The defense has made vast strides this year.
Very good.
And I like the new running back. Fafita, I'm still looks like he's playing Madden sometimes. He just runs around and goes back 20 yards and then tries to throw it. And he doesn't have McMillan anymore. So I don't love the offense if they can't get the running game going, but I do like the running back. I haven't seen enough of BYU. The times I've seen them, they've just been okay. Haven't been great. I guess I'd rather have Arizona because they're at home and because they have a good defense. But I don't know. They went to Iowa State and got their doors blown off. So I don't know. What do you see this one?
Think about Fafita, and you might remember a couple of years ago, under a different coaching staff, the coaching staff.
Chad Fish, yep.
He had, not only did he have McMillan, but he had another elite receiver, and it escapes me now, you might remember, and he put up great numbers. Now, last year, he just
I think that was Cowing.
Yes,
Guy that plays
Cowing,
for the 49ers
Jacob Cowing,
now, yeah.
who came from UTEP. And Cowing was just as good, nearly as good. So he had two really good number one receivers. Last year with just McMillan and a new offense, struggled. McMillan had a fine season, but he really struggled. This year, struggling even more. I mean, they're averaging 6.3 yards per play. So you think, oh, that's pretty good. But they face teams that would allow 6.4 yards per play to an average team. So they've been really mediocre offensively. You mentioned the defense. Defense has been very, very good so far this season. But both teams are good defensively. BYU's only given up 15 points a game. They've been 1.1 yards per play better than average relative to the offenses they faced. Mentioned Arizona. They've been 1.2 yards per play better than average defensively relative to the teams they face. So both teams are about the same, equally good defensively. I mentioned Arizona not being as good as their stats offensively, about average. But the Cougars have a freshman quarterback who seems to be getting a little better every week. He's not making mistakes, just one interception thrown all year. And they are better than average offensive team. I just think that BYU is the team here. Their offense has been 0.6 yards per play better than average. Arizona's been 0.1 yards per play worse than average. That works out to about 4 or 5 points better per game offensively. They also have better special teams. BYU special teams have been a wreck. So I would rather have BYU. I made it BYU by 5.
Okay.
It's not worth a bet. I didn't even have a lean on it. But I would rather have BYU just because their offense is better. I trust their offense more.
All right, let's go to the NFL. Niners play the Buccaneers this week. Niners getting 3 in Tampa Bay. I'm calling this the horseshoe game, the battle for the horseshoe, because both teams have the horseshoe firmly planted in their ass. It's unbelievable how these teams have won these games. I mean, the Niners have won 3 games now. Seattle, Arizona, and each division game they've won, where I bet you probability or win percentage, they would have been down near 25%, maybe even less at the end of the game. And then Tampa, every game they've won, they've trailed with a minute left. And Baker's just been insane this year. You would think that can't continue to happen where you just keep making plays. Now, the more you make, I always believe the more you're going to make. Now, I don't know. You rely a lot on math. I don't know, but you're also a sports guy. I don't know if you believe in the hot hand fallacy. As a player, I don't. I think when you're hot, you just mentally, you're in a different place and you feel different. And I think you're more likely to make the next shot than you would be if you're in a bad headspace. I know people that do math a lot would say, no, that's not true. If it's a 60% shot, it's a 60% shot. I don't believe that. So I do believe Tampa gains from all those experiences. They feel like, hey, we're going to get it done. But so do the Niners. What do the numbers show on this one? Because both teams couldn't be full of any more confidence than they are coming into this game.
I believe confidence. I mean, I played not the level of basketball you played, but I remember there are times when I just felt like I cannot miss.
Yeah, it's like a hula hoop you're shooting into.
I just cannot miss. And it's sort of, because you have that confidence and you're relaxed and you're letting it flow, you're not forcing. I do think, the studies show maybe that's not true, but I think it's true. You think it's true. I think if you ask NBA players, they go, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
95% would say, yeah, hot hand. That's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
In NBA 2K, they have that ball that catches on fire. So it's
that wasn't 2K, was it?
Oh,
that was the
NBA
Jam.
2-on-2.
NBA Jam 2-on-2. He's on fire.
He's on fire. That's right. So I think even that's the case. Interesting last week is that Shanahan was the top 3 receivers were gone. He's got his backup quarterback in, and he let him throw the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, they threw the ball more than you would expect, about 5% more than you would expect based on the situation. So we do pass play rate relative to the situation, and they threw the ball about 5% more than you would expect given the situations they were in. I think they're going to have to do that again. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the game plan because Tampa Bay leads the league in expected points added versus the run. So they have the best run defense in the league based on that expected points added metric. So I think that Mac Jones is going to be throwing the ball again, and he matches up pretty well here. A lot of that stuff was first down, short passes, set up a good situation on second down. A lot of those turned into first downs. Buccaneers surrender a league-high 20% first down rate on short passes this season. So I think that kind of move the chains with short passes kind of thing, or set up second down, I think that's really going to work against what Tampa Bay does defensively. So I think that's going to be the game plan again this week. So I think the Niners move the ball pretty well here. Also, Christian McCaffrey, great out of the backfield. Obviously, Tampa Bay ranks 28th in the league defending opposing running backs out of the backfield. So I think the matchup is pretty good. They might get Jennings back this week too, from what I'm understanding. So I think the Niners offense should move the ball pretty well. Now Tampa Bay, their offensive line, they've been shuffling around, and people, they've really done a great job there. But they've struggled with that offensive line, that kind of makeshift offensive line, against teams that blitz. And against teams that don't blitz, Baker Mayfield's done really well. The offensive line is held up. The thing is, the Niners don't blitz.
Yeah.
They play standard pass rush more than any team in the league. Now that could change. I mean, Saleh could say, look, that doesn't work against Baker. And they're not getting any pressure since Bosa's been out. So he might say, let's just dial up some blitzes. He might look at the film and see the same thing that the stats show, that Baker Mayfield picks apart. When he's got time to throw, he's going to find somebody. So it'll be interesting. I mean, Saleh could decide to blitz more, and I think that would help the Niners here. But if he doesn't, and they just play standard pass rush 80% of the time, which is what they do, then I think that, Tampa is going to be able to move the ball too, and the offensive line's not an issue. So it'll be interesting to see what Saleh does calling plays. Tampa Bay's got some injuries, Mike Evans and Bucky Irving. Offensive line, I already mentioned. Chris Godwin might not play. So it's a miss. I think the line's about right. Well, the Niners, Tampa Bay's favored by 3. That's probably about right. The Niners, with an upset win over a division rival, then going on the road, that tends to be a bad spot. Non-division road after a division upset win tends to be a bad spot historically against the number. And the Niners apply to a 51, 130, and 5 spread situation based on that. So based on that alone, I would rather have Tampa Bay. Just based on the situation, I don't think it's a great spot for the Niners. So I'd rather have Tampa, but it's not anything close to a bet.
Got it. DrBobSports.com. Head on over. Get smarter about college football. Bob, have a great weekend. We'll look forward to doing it again next week.
All right, buddy. Talk to you
Thanks,
then.
Bob. Appreciate it, man. Have a good one. All right. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Dennis Ranahan of Quackside Sports, PicksFootball.com. And then after that, Bob Myers, former GM of the Golden State Warriors and now ESPN talking head, will join us in about 15 minutes. Dennis, what's going on?
Well, we had a bad week.
Did have a bad week.
We go 0-3 on Sunday. That's no fun. 1-2 is bad. 0-3 is really bad.
0-3 is rough.
And I've always felt that one of the reasons why I think so many services have trouble winning is because they're always operating off of false pretenses that they win 90% of the time. And so I like to take a losing week head on. We were 0-3. What worked? What didn't work? What do we need to learn from it? The Jets play, against Dallas, and Dallas comes out. At one point on Sunday morning, I was watching the games with Pam, and I kicked the couch, as I'm prone to do occasionally, and said, every time I need a first down, I don't get it. And every time the team we're, against gets it. And Pam said, maybe you're on the wrong teams.
Look at Pam. Pam.
Do you know how much you have to love a woman to stay married to her after that comment? It just
she wasn't lying.
She wasn't lying. Maybe you're on the wrong teams. And the Jets game was interesting because they came into that situation, I thought, in a real sweet spot with the Cowboys coming off the 40-40 game against Green Bay. And the Jets still looked. It was the problem with it was everybody liked it. And so the line moved from the Jets being an underdog to a 1.5 point favorite. So before the game started, I looked at that and said, doggone it. You know, an underdog that people like is really a motivational trap. And so now we're sitting on the wrong side. But Cincinnati, I said, don't worry. We got Cincinnati to save the day. Here comes
the good.
Yikes. Yikes. And when they cut it to 11 late, I said, see, here we go. This is how these things go. It looked ugly all day. But now here comes the ball. We get the punt. We go down. A field goal would be kicked to cut it to 8 because that would bring it to 1-score game. Here we go. Let's go get it. And they get a safety against them. It's like, not my day. Not.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest. That was one where I didn't have the Bengals because I told you I'm swearing off the Bengals and Titans until they prove to me they can cover a game. I'm not sure the Titans. I'm not sure the Titans proved they could cover a game. Arizona proved that they can really screw up a game like no other team in the history of the NFL. And the Bengals, I'm not going to try to catch the moving train. I'm going to wait till the train slows down. Then I might get on it. But as it's moving, I'm just going to wave as it moves. Go, it's fine. See, because that's the type of team I've tried to jump on that moving train. And I just end up getting run over time and time again. I look at the numbers and I go, God dang it, they're getting too many points. They need more respect. They need another loss. And then you lose in the dumbest of ways. Like you just, that's one thing I'm swearing off, or at least trying to. I'm going to try to stay off teams that are just heading in the wrong direction. And again, I don't count the Titans' last cover and win as going in the right direction. That was a gift from the gods.
Hey, Tom, I just need to listen to you more. It's very
clear. That's not true. No, you're better than me.
More, we'll be better
I just said, I've told you before, I respect Dennis. I respect his plays. Sometimes I don't play them all. I play most of them. Maybe 6 or 7 throughout the year I'll look at and go, and the Jets one was just because the line moved. You know, I saw the line. I was expecting 2.5, maybe even 3. And when I looked at the line, I go, well, I don't want that. That's not the line I wanted. So lines do matter and motivation does matter, but let's move on. I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people wouldn't bring it up. And a lot of handicappers have like 6 different clubs. So one club will end up winning, whether it's their platinum club or their titanium club or their porcelain club or their whatever it is. They'll find some way to make last weekend a winner. You don't do that. You have one set of plays and that's it. And I always like the fact that you're really honest about them. But so one game popped out to me this week, and there was only one aspect of it that I didn't love, and it's New Orleans getting 3.5 against New England. I got the Patriots coming off the big time win, standalone game on the road against the Bills. Now they have to come to New Orleans and play a team that is better than you think. The defense is better than people think it is. And Rattler is better than probably people think he is. I'm not saying he's great. He's not, but he's better than you think he is. And I think motivationally, I would love if they would have lost in New York last week. That'd have been even better. I mean, you don't talk about a team that handed another team a game on a silver platter. My goodness. I mean, Jackson Dart more than made up for it last night. But man, I had the Giants, and I was like, oh, brother, hold on to the ball. Can we just keep the ball, please? We just keep the ball. Couldn't keep the ball. But other than the fact New Orleans won last week, which I think doesn't make it as strong for me, I just love the angle of going against the Patriots, who had that's a massive win in the division against the Bills. I mean, that's a big time win. Now you got to go against a team. You're like, it's New Orleans. We'll go down to New Orleans, keep this thing rolling. I don't know. I think there's going to be a close game. New Orleans might even win this game. So that's my one play that I like this week. New Orleans.
I think you're always looking for a letdown when a middle team, and that's where we've elevated New England to, is off the bottom up to a middle team. A middle team has a big win against a division high, top ranked team, as they did against the Bills. And so there's a natural tendency to go, they're going to have trouble next week. They've been high-fiving each other all week after that game. And so I agree with you there. I wish I would have pulled the trigger on the Saints last week. I loved the Saints over the Giants and didn't do it just because, as I said on last week's show, you're 0-10 lifetime, and now you're favored. The only reason that can be is that you're going to win. There'd be no other reason for the Saints to be favored, and it's not the public favoring. The public is betting on the Giants in that spot. So it's the books, and I'm a big fan of winning with the books. And we lose when the books lose, like last week, but nevertheless. The leanings would be New Orleans. I think the game was handed to them by the Giants as opposed to the Saints taking it. I haven't seen the Saints, and so New England being, I love Vrabel, the coach.
So do I.
Really top job. I don't know why he lost that job in Tennessee. That's, you got to scratch your head sometimes on how he loses a head coaching job for what he had done for Tennessee and what they've done since. They might be saying, maybe that was
exactly.
I see your point. I think New Orleans would be the play because New England isn't the play, but I'm not excited about it.
All right, let me ask you about the Niner game. I just got through asking Dr. Bob about the Niner game, and I'm not going to bet this. I call it the Horseshoe Bowl because it's both teams have just been magicians out there. I mean, they've just pulled wins out of their asses, and they got bunnies coming out of their top hats and, flowers coming out of their sleeves. And all of a sudden it's like, what? How'd you win that game? The Niners have 3 of those. The Buccaneers, like I said, have 4 games. Every game they've won, they've trailed like in the waning moments. I don't know what to make. I don't know what to make of this game. Like, I think it should be a hell of a game. We're going to find out who has the bigger horseshoe and maybe who has the more expensive horseshoe after this game. But I don't want to sit there watching the Niners up 2 at the end of the game with Baker having the ball. That's no fun. I don't want the Buccaneers to have the ball in a close game late. The Niners do something that's just like, look at that. I don't want any part of betting against either of these two teams right now, Dennis. Do you see it differently?
No, I don't see it differently at all. And as Dr. Bob said moments ago on your show, the line looks right. I don't know how you can move this off of 3. I think that's where it belongs. Tampa Bay has been fortunate. They just got by the Jets a few weeks ago by 2 points. It's not like they're lighting it up. They beat us that Monday night when we had Houston over them. And was it the Monday night? Yeah, I think it was. And they came back with Baker. And so in that situation, I don't see this game at all. I think the Niners, magician bag may be empty going out on the road here, and it'll be Mac Jones again. At some point that newness is going to wear off, and so there's no play on this game for me.
I'll give you one more, then I want to get to a game that you find intriguing. But what about Kansas City at home against Detroit? I know everybody loves Detroit now. Detroit looks great. Detroit's offense is unstoppable. It's not like they've been playing a murderer's row. I mean, the best team they played this year smashed them, and they put that offense in a box. And I think Kansas City has one of the best defenses in the league as well. Kansas City was the better team on Monday night. I'm firmly convinced of that. Now, Kansas City did have the turnover. Devin Lloyd picks it off at the goal line, runs it back for a touchdown. But I will say that was nullified by Trevor Lawrence going over the top and Kansas City causing a fumble. So that was almost a wash at that point. But I just think Kansas City's offense starting to look good, starting to find a rhythm a little bit. Defense is still really good. And they're kind of I won't say they're in desperate straits because that whole division is jumbled up. I don't think anybody's getting away from anybody. But they would fall to 2-4, and that puts you in a little bit of a bind. I like the Chiefs here. Do you see it differently, or do you not have an opinion?
Yeah, I see it differently. I think it's tough to accept that the Kansas City is not as good as they used to be. I disagree with you on the Monday night game, even though it was close and Trevor fell and then jumped up and scored a winning touchdown.
That's amazing.
They also got robbed on the pass interference. It wasn't called.
That's true.
And that was in the opposite red zone that gave the ball to Kansas City that turned that into a touchdown. The 99-yard interception return that pretty well neutralized that situation. But they're also playing Jacksonville Jaguars, who were coming off the win against San Francisco, who I thought could be in trouble because the reason I wasn't on the game, even though I was on the Jacksonville side, I wasn't on the game because of the season records, where they came in and Jacksonville was 3-1, and the Kansas City Chiefs were 2-3, 2-2, and so we were going to have Jacksonville move to 4-1, and Kansas City dropped to 2-3. That just didn't seem plausible to me. That fact alone, I thought it'd be much more likely to be 3-2 and 3-2 coming out of that game, as opposed to Jacksonville pulling 2 games ahead. So this week, we don't have that situation. The Lions are 4-1, and Kansas City is now 2-3, and so I'd say we do have that situation again, where now we have to have the Lions pull way ahead with a 5th straight win, and drop Kansas City to what a 4th
2-4.
Yeah, that's the bite on why this is probably not a play for us. But I just think talent wise, I think this Lions team, I thought they were in a trap against Cincinnati. Didn't look like a trap to me. As far as from the Lions side, they played. See, Lulu likes this play too.
Lou enjoys the play.
No,
Lou enjoys it. It's getting close to 2:00 and it's almost time to feed her. That's what Lou enjoys.
So my leanings was actually be to Detroit here. I doubt it'll be a play for us on Sunday. We'll see how the numbers come in the next 2 nights, but from the casinos. But right now, I would say that we might have to say Kansas City ain't that good.
Yeah. I'll slightly disagree with you on that, but we will know more after the weekend. All right, give me a game that you're looking at that intrigues you right now.
New York. Last night it was New York. Sunday morning it'll be New York.
Wow, a double hitter, double banger on New York.
I hate these 6:30 a.m. games, and I almost never pick them just because I think they're so inconvenient. But this could be the top pick of the week. Get yourself in the Broncos helmets. Coming out of Philadelphia, down 17-3 in the 4th quarter against the undefeated Super Bowl champions, come back and beat them and show them amazing courage midway through the 4th quarter of going for a 2-point conversion to go ahead 18-17, add a field goal, shut Philadelphia out. The rest of the game go. Oh man, what a plane ride home! What they were smiling the whole time. I bet they were smiling all the way to London too. And what were the Jets doing? The Jets were coming off the loss against the Cowboys, where they thought they were. I listened to the post-game interviews of that game. That Jet team was confident. Even Aaron Glenn said, I really thought we would play better today. Oh, kiss of death for an underdog to think that they were in a good spot. They don't have anything on them now thinking they're in a good spot. They think they're playing a real tough Denver team who's coming off, a big win over the defending champs. The plane ride to London was much more pleasant for the Denver Broncos than it will be going home.
I might do that. I always like waking up in the morning at 8:40 and check out my. Oh, hey, I got a winner already. That's nice. Of course, it sucks when I wake up and go, I'm already 0-1.
No, I hate that.
But I do like that. And Dennis, have a great weekend. We'll look forward to doing it again next week. Again, it's PicksFootball.com, Quagside Sports, and much like Dr. Bob, if you don't bet, you just get smarter about NFL football. Dennis has articles up, and he'll have 3 or 4 select games a week that you can go and read the articles about the games, and maybe that'll pique your interest. But there's a lot of cool stuff, a lot of free stuff on the website. Again, if you just want to be a smarter football fan, do yourself a favor and go there and check that out. Dennis, have a great weekend. We'll look forward to doing it again next week.
Thanks a lot, Tom.
Thanks, Dennis. Appreciate it. All right, coming up in a couple minutes, we are going to have, maybe this will give me time too. I got about 3-4 minutes there before we get Bob Myers on. Maybe I just feed her right now. What do you think? Should we do that so you don't interrupt the interview? You're saying what? You won't interrupt the interview? Bull. If I could quote my dad, you know what my dad would say to that? Bullshit. You know you're going to interrupt the interview. So we're gonna go feed Lou real quick, and we'll be right back with Bob Myers. All right, everybody, be right back. Hello, Bob.
How's it going? What's up, man?
Good. You?
Good. That's a good
You
little studio you got there.
You like the backdrop?
Yeah. Is that a beer you're about to crack?
Why would I do something like that? Why would I do something like that?
Uh,
We like a relaxed vibe on the show.
yeah.
Bob.
Well, I'm gonna reciprocate. I can do that too.
Yes.
It's an
We
easier
li-
way
we
to
like,
do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a podcast. We're just chilling. Look at
I
the
like it.
t-shirts. We
I
don't
like
dress
it.
up. We just do what
No,
we do.
I like it. Is that where is that? Pleasanton? Is that a Rin? Where are you? Dublin? I forget where
Alameda?
you. Alameda. That's not
Alameda.
bad. Has that always been
No.
that? I thought it was like somewhere else. It was East Bay. It's always Alameda.
Yeah, always Alameda. Bob lived here since I
Nice.
played with the Warriors back in the Nelly days. And
That's
so
great.
probably
Love
back
it.
when you were going to Monte Vista.
I
I was here. Oh, I guess it says we're live, by the way. So we just started the podcast,
this is the
just
best.
kind of bullshitting about Alameda and the backyard and the relaxed
Are people
environment and
gonna watch
atmosphere.
this? Is this
Good thing
entertaining?
Good thing I didn't tell you a joke. It's said on the bottom. My producer just said you're
Yeah.
live, FYI. As
Yeah, I
you know
love
what
it.
he could have said? Good thing
Sure.
if we would have kept going, it'd have been you are canceled, by the way. It'd have been a big,
Is this all you guys got?
a big X through my box. It shows over. Everything's over. You're done.
This is not
You're
entertaining.
done.
Brother. Well,
all right. Let's go ahead and get started. For those that don't know, Bob Meyer is a former general manager and vice president or president of basketball ops. He was one of the architects, one of the ones that helped bring 4 championships to the Golden State Warriors. Now you can catch him on ESPN in studio. You can catch him at games. I think he's a de facto Warriors color commentator for ESPN, and always shows up at games there. And why not? The travel's pretty good, just up the coast. He's doing something with the Commanders. He showed up for UCLA, and UCLA beats Penn State, so he's probably going to take credit for that too.
Yeah,
it's incredible. How you been? You forgot about that. You forgot about that.
I know.
You forgot that UCLA beat Penn State, or you forgot you're doing something for UCLA?
I forgot that I could take credit for something like that. I knew it happened. But you remind. Why don't I just grab some credit? Is what you said. Forgot I could say I had something to do with that, which I had nothing to do with that. Yeah, sure. You said it. Yeah, why not? That's what everybody does these days. Just take credit for something you didn't do. Why not?
Absolutely. That is today's day. Everybody wants.
Yeah.
And you know what? No one, and this was one, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to dovetail my way into a little Warrior talk. I think this was one of the underlying strengths of the organization back in 14, 15. When you guys started, you were there. Steve came aboard in 15. And a bunch of other people in the organization, that no one cared who got the credit. And I think when you have an organization that has that, at least outwardly, and from what I know you, I know Steve obviously very well. Everybody's like, when we win, everybody gets the credit. That's fine. Yeah. Don't need the credit. And now more and more people want the credit. They need the credit. And if they don't get it, they want to make sure they tell you that they did something so they can receive the credit. But would you agree with that? That was an underlying kind of strength of the team, is that, and then you have a superstar in Steph Curry, who is so strong in his security, and then you go out and get a guy like Kevin Durant, and he's like, whatever, I don't really care. I just want to keep winning. It just seemed like that was kind of a foundational backbone of the team.
Well, I think you and I think you're a little older than I am, not much, but I guess in that era of growing up, not that it doesn't anymore, but I think we just were taught to win, right? There wasn't notoriety for a jump shot you made in high school. You were not ranked on the internet. Tom Tolbert's the 10th best forward or 5th best in this region of the country. You weren't getting this individual attention, maybe not even in college. And so what we valued was winning, period, right? That's how we got recognized. We won.
Yeah.
And you probably didn't even know stats, right? You probably didn't even know. I don't even know. I guess when I was playing in high school, once in a while they'd throw your box score in the local paper, but
Yeah,
not all.
maybe.
But it'd be like 3 days late. The game
No,
was
no. Yeah.
it was like that game was 4 days ago and nobody's buried, and then
It's like
and
you're
so
over in Belgium. Like you
yeah,
like,
it's like,
can we get the
is this a
news here,
time
please?
zone? So yeah, I to finish the point, societally we do reward individual accomplishments, or at least we're attracted to them, or we highlight them.
Yeah.
And my belief, and I'm curious about yours, is that when winning is very hard in anything, right? You know that it's
Yep.
very hard to win at anything. The second you start compromising what it takes to win, meaning I want to win, but I got to score 20 points or else I don't really want to win. Because
I
if I
need an
score
X amount
10,
of shots.
yeah, I
Yeah.
can't win like that. The second anybody in an organization or on a team starts thinking that way, Tom, how many games of basketball? You played thousands of games of basketball. And you played professional, you played high school, you played college, you played pickup.
Yep.
When one guy on the team has that mindset, it can F up the whole team, period.
Yep.
To the point where you four that aren't acting that way are looking at each other going, what's wrong with him? Or the guy that when you win is pouting in the locker room. That's contagiously bad, right? And then you got the flip side. You mentioned a Curry, where a guy that could act any way he wanted to act and get away with it. Steph Curry could act, he could be the biggest jerk in the world. He could say to everybody, I'm not getting enough shots. I'm the best shooter in the world. He, by the way, never did and never would do that. So when you have people like that in the organization and you say, all we care about is winning, period, then you give yourself the best shot to win. It doesn't mean you're going to win, but you give yourself the best shot where maybe more so now you can quote unquote win individually in a team sport because you're making a ton of money, you got a shoe deal, and you're popular in your jersey sale, and maybe in your mind that's winning. And that's what I think is a little bit different. And on those Warrior teams, look no further than Curry, and you know this, I always use the example when the possibility of Kevin Durant came up. In music, that's the equivalent of, Bono hearing that John Lennon wants to join U2. And he's like, yeah, man, that doesn't happen, right? The point is, like, you don't have a world, everybody has an ego. And for Steph Curry to say, and I can tell you, because I was there when I asked him, do you want Durant on the team? And I did it in person because I think it's a big body language thing. And he said this, Tom, because you're a big EQ guy too. Hey, Steph, how you feel about Durant? This was after we lost in the finals. And if he had done this, yeah, man, I mean, if you think you're the GM, if that's what you want, that's a no, right? That's a no. Or if he goes, I don't know, maybe that's a no. It's a no. The only yes is this. Yeah, definitely. Can we do that? Should I call him? Yes. Could we meet with him? Maybe. That's the only, yeah. And that's what he said. And so unequivocally but guys don't do that. But that, you know what? And then in the long run, the last point I'll make on Steph is I spoke to a college team a few weeks ago, and a lot of these college kids are making money now, right? So if you and I were in college together in Arizona and you're making 400,000 and I'm making 200, but the truth is everybody knows I'm better than you, right? I might have a problem with that. And I might say to a few people, what's the deal with Tolbert making twice as much as me? I'm starting. He's coming off the bench. I tell that story and I say, that's human nature. When Steph Curry signed his extension for $11 million a year for 4 years, and everybody said that was one of the biggest underpays, I told the team, I said, guess how many times Steph Curry brought up his contract, publicly or privately, in 4 years? To this day, Tom, this is many times. Zero. And I said, and it's not a coincidence the guy has succeeded in his entire life. But it all goes back to those beliefs and that type of integrity and that type of viewing winning and doing all the right things.
I wasn't going to go down this path, but since we're here and it just popped into my head, do you think you guys get Durant if two things don't happen? One, you don't come back from 3-1 to beat Oklahoma City. And two, you guys don't then turn around and lose a 3-1 lead or any lead for that matter. You don't lose. Like I've contended that you guys wouldn't have got him if OKC would have beat you because he would have said, well, why would I go to a team we just beat? And I don't know that he would have wanted to go to a team that just won a championship. He got enough crap anyway for coming. But do you think it would have? Do you think it would have happened if you guys would have either lost to them or beat Cleveland?
Yeah, I should ask Kevin that question.
Yeah,
I haven't. No, but you know what? I don't know because I'm not him.
Yeah, of course.
But if your sense, if I'm guessing, those would have been big factors to go the other way. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, right? Because he might have. Because
I'm thinking for you guys, I'm thinking for you too, Bob. It's like, what do we need? KD, if we just won another championship,
we always need Durant. You always want Durant.
Well, I know that, but you might not have been in that mindset.
All right, well, sure.
It's hey, we just won. Look, what we just won. Why
the only way?
If you're winning championship?
Okay, that would have been a decision.
But that's a good answer. You always need Kevin.
Yeah, well, that's my knee-jerk reaction.
I think that's a pretty solid reaction.
That's probably the right reaction. The only way reaction. The only way that doesn't work is if I went to the team, and by the way, we're doing a lot of hypotheticals here. Yeah, I went to the team and they said no. That's the only way. Yeah, because you gotta go to your players and be like, you don't want Durant? Of course. Are you serious? But anyways, yeah.
Got it. Okay, let me ask you. This is kind of a hypothetical, maybe not. No, it is a hypothetical. But you were there for this hypothetical, so I wanted to ask you. You were there when you drafted Jonathan Kuminga, and that was the whole kind of two timelines thing, which at the time made perfect sense to me. It did.
Yeah.
I didn't know Steph was going to be as good as he was for as long as he was. I didn't know Draymond was going to be as viable as he is for as long as he is. And that you look at like natural evolution or progressions of players. They start going downhill about now. So that made sense to me. They start going down. The young guys pick up the slack and then take the baton and move on. Well, Steph had other thoughts about that. And Draymond had other thoughts about that. And I try to tell people, young guys, rookies on teams that are trying to win championships don't get the runway they get for teams that are winning 25 games. You can't deal with the mistakes. You can't let them play through it because you're actually trying to win games to help you win a championship. So I guess the question is, if you could have looked into the future and knew that Steph and Draymond were going to be as good as they were for as long as they were going to be, would that have changed just the philosophy of like, hey, let's just get him as much help as we can for as long as we can?
I mean, there was a contingent of fans and media and maybe people even in the organization that felt like, let's get somebody more ready to play. But when you draft high, I think what I believe, and I think we believe, was it's a chance to take a swing and get that Tracy McGrady type guy, right? And the Warriors, if you want to go through history, Donald Foyle, the guy, the white guy, what was
Fuller?
Fuller. I mean,
Fuller
these are like Kobe McGrady drafts. Like these are, so those hurt.
They hurt.
As a Warriors fan growing up, and so you have a choice. And I was, as my previous life, I was an agent, and you're kind of like watching these guys that are young and raw, but there's a risk to it, right? So I guess to your point, had we known, would we have done something different on that specific fact? I don't think so. We drafted who we thought was going to be the best player. I mean, that's kind of what we did. We drafted who we thought. Remind me, I have a question to ask you, but that was the thinking behind it. So, yeah, that was the logic. All
right, all right. Is our 30?
Is our since you're like a basketball historian, is our 30 for 30, our last dance, is it going to be any good?
I would think it'd be incredible.
How do you make it good?
Well, you know what? I'll answer the question with kind of a question. Well, not really a question, but it's something I wanted to do when I was still working for the radio station, and I'd still love to do it. I don't know that it's possible to do, but I'd like to find out, interview KD, Steph, yourself,
Steve,
which I'm doing now. Steve, yeah. I can get that one. I think I can get that one. And just find out how that team came together and how it was built. Because Steph didn't want to work out here, didn't want to come here, didn't want to interview here, and ends up Larry drafts him. It's like, I don't care if you come here or not. You know, I'm gonna draft you. KD comes here after, again, they lose a 3-1 lead, then you guys lose the championship, then he ends up coming here because you have a group of players led by Steph Curry that say, yeah, hell yeah, we don't care who gets the credit. Let's just put together a great team. You were an agent, and then you kind of took a leap, and you came here, and you elevated yourself to the guy running the show. And then Steve was going to go to New York with Phil, and then Steve ends up not going to New York. So all the factors from Clay, who gets drafted here, and then there were discussions about trading him to Minnesota for Kevin Love. Yeah. That didn't happen, so he stays. Draymond falls, you guys get him in this. So to me, the fascinating thing is how one of the best teams, and it is one of the best runs an NBA team in the history of the game has ever had. You guys from 15 to 22. I mean, I always said you guys made the game boring. It just, you know, it's like I knew where you guys were going to end up at the end of the year, Western Conference Finals, and we'll see how it shakes out. But I think it would be fun to see what factors led everyone to be where they were at that time in history. I think that would be pretty fascinating because it's a lot of like, and there's always this, right, Bob, with every team, but this is a historical team. A left turn here, a right turn there. A lot of this stuff doesn't happen.
I agree. I think that's the compelling, how it all happened, how everybody arrived, is a really fascinating story to tell. And like you said, really on the margin, right? Really on the it's. I always look at what we did as a band that had an era, right? So the lead singer happened to hear the guitar guy in his garage as he was doing his paper route, and he said, "I'm trying to get in a band," but if he had been riding his bike 10 minutes later, he doesn't hear that guy. And for to do what those teams did, I think all those things had to align, right? They had to coalesce. They had to kind of have that moment in time, good fortune, where, like you said, Steve was gone. Steve was in New York. That was done.
Yeah.
He was gone. Steph didn't.
I talked to him.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, the best parts of these things are like the best parts of these stories are the truth of the stories. Meaning, Steph publicly stated, "I don't want to play for that team." You know, I was. If any other team had asked me, Tom, like nobody wanted me to be in their front office. I was an agent. I didn't get. If any team would have said, "Hey, come be my assistant GM," I would have gone. Nobody asked. Laker was the only one that asked me. Period. I would have been somewhere else. If anybody in the because I was ready to not be an agent after doing it for 14 years. Draymond was supposed to be drafted, I believe, 23rd by Atlanta or somebody. They passed on him. We drafted Festus at 30. We risked Draymond being there at 35. Klay Thompson was supposed to go to Sacramento, but they made a trade with Milwaukee, and so he slips one spot, or he would have been gone. Yeah, you beat Oklahoma, you lose to Oklahoma City. Maybe Durant doesn't have, Iguodala. Getting Iguodala was insane. Like that shouldn't have happened. I mean, so I mean, so there's that part of the story which I think is interesting to people, and not fabricated, right? All those things I just said, and they're true. They're true. We're not making those dramatic, trying to make a story that doesn't exist. Yeah. And then there's this story. So you have the story of it, how everybody got there, and then you have the story of what happened then. Right. And I think that's obviously, how do you tell that in the best way? And
no, I think it's going to be, I mean, I was there for most of it, but I think it's going to be a great story. And I'm glad you brought up Iguodala, because I always said there were two things that were super important that people don't talk about enough, is that not only did you guys trade for Iguodala, and I'd like for you to talk about how tough that was to make that thing work, but he wanted to come here.
I know.
Nobody wanted to come to Golden State at that point. If you had any status in the NBA, you did this. That Golden State is not this Golden State. People don't go, "Oh, I want to go to Golden State." Now they do. Back then they didn't. But he saw something in that team when you played him in the playoffs. I think it was a year before, where he was a part of the Nuggets, and you guys upset the Nuggets, and he wanted to come here. So you made it happen. Talk a little bit about that, because I think that's an important part of the historical run you were on. He wasn't the point getter and the stats guy, but he was the guy that kept everything together. He was the organizer. Steve called him the adult in the room. Without him, I firmly believe you don't win those championships. So That was important. Talk about how that came together.
Yeah, we were a couple things. We always had a few guys. We wanted a big guard next to Curry, right? And so we wanted a big ball handling passing guard. And we had targeted Livingston. We never thought we could get Iguodala. He would have been like the dream guy. But these kind of big point forward types, because we thought we were starting to see maybe Steph can play off the ball. Because remember prior to Iguodala, we had Jared Jack. You remember those teams? Jared Jack was playing one, and we were closing lineups with Jack at one and Steph at two. And so in our mind, I was thinking like, wow, this kind of works, but we need a little bit more size and defense if we can get it. And Iguodala represented all that, but Tom, I didn't think we could get him. So again, another story. We were meeting with Dwight Howard. This was the Dwight Howard free agency.
That's right.
We left that meeting, and Rob Pelinka, who's now the Lakers GM, had said, "Would you guys like to meet with Iguodala?" And I had said, "Well, Rob, I don't see a way where we can get the money together to get Iguodala." I said, "So I don't want to misrepresent. I don't want to waste your time and his time." And he said, "No, come on by." And he wasn't too far. It was all down in LA. And this is where Joe Lacob is so good, and why for me he was such a good partner, because I was more the realist and he was more the optimist, saying like, "Yeah, let's go get Iguodala." And I was like, how are we going to do that? So we go meet with Andre, and we've got this presentation, and in those days it was still in a little it was like a pamphlet. We didn't have, these days it's all digital and you blast it up on screen. We had a little pamphlet.
It's like a travel brochure.
Yeah, you remember these times, these glossy pamphlets. God, people don't even do that anymore, right? And so we handed it to Andre, and it said he was a Swiss Army knife, and every team he was on had a top 5 defense. And Andre kind of grabs the pamphlet and he looks at it and he kind of throws it back on the table. He's like, "I don't need all that." He's like, "I want to come play for you guys." And I was kind of like, oh wow, then it became very real. Because half the time when you meet in these meetings, Tom, you don't know if the player's just killing time and using those leverage, or nobody had come to the Warriors at that point. Nobody was coming to the Warriors. No free agents were choosing, and this guy had options. He could go back to Denver. He had Sacramento. He had Dallas. He had a lot of teams. But when he said that, it was almost like I felt a big pressure as far as like, this guy wants to come play for the Warriors. We better figure this out. And he waited on us, and Rob Pelinka as well, who I'd known, worked with him as an agent. Their patience and perseverance got that done, because many times I'm always kind of never wanting to tell somebody something that isn't true. And so I kept saying, guys, you should always keep a fallback, because if I can't get the money, I don't want to leave you hanging. And I kept saying that. And near the end, I started telling Rob and Andre, I don't think this is going to work. I can't find a team, because we had to move Biedrins and Jefferson, to clear up $23 million in room, and maybe one of Brandon Rush. I think we had to move 3 guys to make the room for Iguodala's, because we were over that. We were over the cap. So nobody would do it. And I remember being up in Tahoe on the phone, talking to Travis Schlenk, my assistant GM, and I said, "Travis, what do we?" I said, "What if we have to give up 2 unprotected first-round picks?" And he said, "Well, then we should." He said, "We should do 2. We shouldn't do 3." I said, "All right, let's try to find a way to just do 2, and then some second-round picks." And then I had a moment where I was young. I think I was 1 year as GM, maybe. And I told Travis, I said, "What if it doesn't work?" And he goes, "We'll just get fired." I said, "I don't want to get fired yet." I said, "I just started." And it turns out that the last ditch effort to get that deal done was Kevin O'Connor, who was a great GM up in Utah. I said to Kevin, I said, the last thing we can do is, would you take $3 million? And he goes, and I knew when he said, "Is that a firm offer?" Because we had two unprotected firsts, a couple seconds, and $3 million. And he said, "Is that a hard offer?" And I said, "It will be." I called Joe, couldn't get him. I called Kirk. They were in Montana. And I said, "Kirk, I need $3 million. And he said, "Let me ask Joe." And then I said, "It's got it quick." I go, "Soon." So then Kirk, I think, just said, "Just do it. Just do it. Just give him the $3 million." So I called Kevin, and I was like, "Yes." And then he goes, "I think we've got a deal." And that is how Iguodala arrived. And by the way, did change the trajectory of the team.
Yes.
We don't win championships without him. Obviously MVP the finals in 15,
Yep.
But that legitimized what you and I knew, and you were a player for the Warriors, was a moment where it made the Warriors relevant in the eyes, I
Yep.
think, of other players. So Andre was huge then, remained huge. It was a huge part of all the success.
It's funny too, because maybe you didn't know about it then because you'd only had the job for a year, but coming to find out, if it comes to winning, Joe's not afraid to pay up. Joe is
No.
not afraid to shell out money to win. Like I tell everybody, that's the type of owner you want. That's a fan
Yeah.
of the team, that is always going to be thinking ahead. And if you have a chance to win a championship, he's going to spend the money. He's not going to cut the corners. And I mean, as you know better than anybody, like he's not easy to work for, but a lot of guys aren't. But he wants to win.
You know, as an owner, if you're a fan, you want your owner to spend and you want him to care.
Yep.
No owner's infallible, no owner's perfect, but what is hard to watch as an owner is one that doesn't spend or doesn't care. That's a hard fan base to be a part of, but Joe is neither, and certainly was rewarded for all that, and did spend and spent a lot to win. And the fans, I think, know that, appreciate that, and it was a huge part of why everything worked the way it did.
Yeah. I got to ask you about one more thing. I wanted to ask you kind of about your trajectory into TV and stuff, but another one we don't talk about enough is Bogut. You guys going out and getting Bogut, because that Bogut, Andre, and Draymond gave you three of the smartest players in the league. And that right there made you the smartest team in the league when those guys were on the court. It gave you toughness. It gave you a defensive mindset. It gave you another guy that could pass, and Steve's offense, to have that kind of passing from a center position is phenomenal. That one I thought, and I don't know if you were I don't know if that was Larry that was.
I was an assistant GM when we did the Monreal assistant. Yeah,
can you talk about that one? Because that one, and I don't know if this is fact or not, but it's been reported that you guys offered him either Steph or Monte, and they took Monte because of Steph's ankle problems. I don't know if that's the actual story, but I just thought he was like the perfect guy and especially he was there with Mark Jackson, but when Steve took over, that type of offense was just perfect for this guy because he was a savant when it came to passing. But Steph and Clay get all and Draymond get all the love, most of it, and even KD when he was there. But Bogut and Andre being there was huge.
Bogut again. I mean, you look at the history of his defense. It's not often can one player make a team a good defense, but Bogut was one of those guys. And another guy I'm going to mention, which a lot of people don't like, but every team he's on is a top 10 is Gobert. I mean, they're very different players, but there's certain very different players, but there's certain players that can make you good defensively almost by themselves. And Bogut, and then his passing, that's where you separate him from a guy like Gobert. Bogut's passing, and his just a brilliant mind, like a point guard type mind for passing. In those days, you know, he didn't have the freedom like a Jokic has, but Jokic is arguably the best passer in the league as a center. I mean, you could argue he might be. If not, he's in the top 5 of passers. And so to have a guy like that to put in Steve's system, and Bogut probably doesn't get the right amount of credit that he should. He was a huge part of turning our teams around. We never had a big, right? You know that. Nelly didn't even want one. But we never really had a real.
What do you mean? I was the big.
I know,
I was the big.
Yeah, we had
Go
Tolbert,
guard
we
Ewing.
guys like that.
Go guard Olajuwon. We're good. I'm like, do I have any help coming? Please,
no,
fast. You better make it quick.
Yeah. No, but Bogut was. You know, it's so like you started out the conversation. I find these things interesting, or any story like this interesting, because of all the people that made it work. You know, and all the people that had a role in making it what it was, and different roles. And Steph deserves to be the headliner. He certainly does. And everybody you talk to would admit that or agree with that. And what a headliner, as far as somebody that was a team guy or is a team guy. But you know, again, looking back on those teams in those days, that's just a hard thing to replicate. You know, it just is a very hard thing because of all the things, like you said, all the people that had to line up and come together. And but you know what, the Bay Area, I think, deserved that the fans of the Warriors, it couldn't happen to a better fan base because of the passion and the care factor, how much they care about that. The Warriors, I know the Niners are huge, but it's still like a basketball town in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
It feels like it. It felt, that would be my take on it. So
No,
it's great.
we have great
Yeah.
basketball fans. So I gotta, because I want to make sure I get this straight. Was it always Monte for Bogut, or was it either
They
Steph
didn't want it
or
was
Bogut?
we made a decision internally that we said we wanted to construct a deal. When we called Milwaukee, we said it's going to have to be around Monte, and
Got it.
we have to figure that out. And
Okay.
that took a while because the initial reaction was no, that's not going to work on their side.
Yeah.
But then it became like it has to be that, and
Yeah.
then it, Epe Udo. I'm trying to think who else was in the deal.
Udo.
Yeah, remember? But remember, people forget like
Epe.
Bogut was hurt too. Bogut was hurt coming back.
He was hurt. Yep.
So he didn't play. He didn't play that whole year.
And people loved Monte.
Yeah, they did.
Loved
He was
Monte.
great for that. I mean, he was the fans. He did a great. While he was with the Warriors, he was great. I mean, he probably should have been an all-star.
He was fantastic. Remember that trade. That trade got Joe Lacob booed during Chris Mullin's jersey retirement. I knew that was the night I knew Joe was going to be okay, because Joe he got booed and it was loud. And the only other thing I remember about that night was Rick Barry grabbing the mic, and I go, "Oh shit, this is going to be good." Rick Barry. I go, Rick's grabbing the mic. Look out! But I knew Joe was going to be fine when they let him have it, and then third quarter starts. He walked right back out to his seats and sat down. There's a lot of owners that would have said, "I don't want to go back out there for that."
Yeah, two things. I loved what Rick Barry. That was awesome.
Come
what
on,
he did was come on, people. And he was, by the way,
you're crazy.
By the way, great. I mean, Rick. I love that Rick did that. It was somebody needed to do it, and Rick did it, and Rick was right. And not only that, the other part that was great was that the next day, Joe went on every show that asked him to do media.
Yep.
He might have come on your show.
Might have.
He said, "I understand, and I've got to do what I think is right," and that was commendable because he didn't run for cover. And look, like I said, he stood and faced the music.
He did. Let's be honest. Cohan would have moved to Alaska after that.
A lot of owners, a lot of guys would have been like,
not that you saw him anyway.
I can sit here, we can laugh about it, but I haven't been booed by 20,000 people personally. Just me. I mean, that was just directed at him, and it was
that's why I'm laughing about it, because it wasn't me.
I know, man. Well,
it's funny when stuff happens to other people.
It's worked out for Joe. It's worked out fine.
It's worked out. It's worked out okay.
There you go, man.
Okay, before we let you go, and I didn't want this. I wasn't planning on it turning into.
I don't care. What cares?
A walk down memory lane, but I'm glad
whatever you want it to be. Yeah.
No, it's fun to talk to you about these things. I was there for these things, and it was fun watching it, and it was even more fun for me because. Steve's one of my best friends. I got to know you really well. I got to know Travis really well. So it's kind of, you feel kind of part of it. Even though I say to this day, I got 2 championship rings for being a broadcaster. I'm like, I didn't do shit. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm up in the box somewhere. People that sell tickets do more than I do. I was just talking and give me a ring. But in fact, somebody asked me where the rings were, and I go, "That's a great question. I don't know."
Yeah.
I think I know where they are.
Yeah,
all right, let me ask you about because what you did, that's stressful. That is a stressful job, having to do that. It's not even like an 8-hour job. It's probably like a 16, 20-hour job. Is that ultimately kind of what led you into the next phase? Let me just get out and take a breath. Just kind of take a breath and detox a little bit.
Yeah. I was thinking this morning, all these people, I don't know if you do this, but a lot of people play fantasy football, right?
I do.
It's a huge thing, right? Okay, which is fine. I think they play fantasy football because it's fun to build a team, right? And do well, right? You think you know more than your buddies, and you build a team, and then you compete and you watch. And I was thinking to myself, everybody loves fantasy football, but being a GM was not like that. And then I started thinking, well, let's say I was the owner of your team, Tom, and you had a tough week. I go, hey Tom, what the hell happened? And you go, well, I didn't play the right guy. Why'd you have him on your bench? And you go, and then you go to the coffee shop. Hey, Tolbert, what the hell happened? And you go, I drafted so-and-so in the first round. I had no idea he was going to, he's going to get hurt in the first week. And so I started thinking to myself, like, the basic part of the job is really fun because it's the highest level of fantasy sports, right? You're doing it for a job. But for my personality, Tom, maybe not yours. I felt the pressure and responsibility of the community to a degree where the joy of winning was not nearly as much as the difficulty of losing. And we didn't lose a lot. And so I was even talking to Nick Uren the other day. He's obviously in the finals for the Mercury at WNBA. And I said, Nick, because they're down, and he's like, he said something, and I said, Nick, the hardest thing is that you have to find ways to enjoy. You're in the finals, and he was appreciative of it all. And I said, if I were to ever do something like that again, you have to find ways to enjoy it, right? You have to find ways to do it. And so that's where it's a challenge, and it's personal. But for me, I love that I did it. I love it. But there's a cost to it, right? There's just a cost to it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you're alone in that. I think so many people that I talk to that have played professional sports or been GMs or been coaches, it gets to a point where you ask them their greatest wins, and it takes a minute for them to like kind of sort through the memories. You ask them about their most devastating losses, it's almost instantaneous. Like I can in my mind, I picture that Oklahoma game in the Final Four. And we had a lot of great wins at Arizona and a lot of fun wins when I was playing. Not huge wins, but playoff wins when I was with the Warriors. But the losses just kill you. And I always ask coaches, do you have time enough to stop and smell the roses? Like really enjoy what you're doing. And almost to a man, they say, not enough. It's almost like a relief. Like you win, it's a relief. It's not joy. Like losing's devastation. So winning should be joy to balance it out. But it's like winning's relief and losing's devastation. And that's a rough way. I mean, that's
tough
so rough.
It's tough. I know it's hard. Let's finish the conversation over a beer one day because I gotta hit it. I gotta go run and pick up my 15-year-old. But
playing sports?
No, she's just in school, and I gotta grab her right now. But
we'll go ahead.
With you, man.
I kept you too long anyway.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I love talking to you. It's great. I do.
Okay.
This is cool. I'll come back on if you want. Yeah, we can
let's
do it again.
You know what? When you're in the Bay Area, I'll just grab you. You come over in the backyard and have a beer.
Yeah, man. Who's the young lady or young man in your lap here? What is this?
That is Lulu.
Lulu. Oh, if nobody's watching this.
We got a zoo around here, Bob. You know what? You didn't get a chance to see it. We got a bunny popping around here.
Oh my God!
A rabbit that just pops around the backyard. We got two cats.
This is great.
It's a zoo.
It's
good.
An absolute zoo. I'm jealous.
Hey,
I'm jealous.
I'm so happy I got a chance to catch up with you. I mean, I love the fact that I got a chance to know you with the Warriors, and I'm glad that we get a chance to talk every once in a while. So
awesome,
best of luck with everything, and let's do it again soon, Bob.
Okay, brother.
All right,
I'll talk to you, man.
Take it easy,
Thank
Bob.
You, dude.
Appreciate
See you,
it, man.
Bye,
Bye, man.
Bye.
He's the best. He really is. Bob Myers is he's just a great dude. He's a guy that you root for, and a guy that getting a chance to meet him, working for the Warriors and on the flights, come playoff time, stuff like that, having a beer with him occasionally. He's just a good dude. Like you like to see guys like that succeed, which is why I obviously I root for Steve all the time. He's one of my best friends, but I just like when good people have success. And Bob's he's just a good guy. He's a good guy, a guy that you root for, and a guy that you're happy succeeds. So, and we've been trying to do this forever. It's been about 7 months, and it's not that like he didn't want to do it. Just his schedule's super busy, and then I had some stuff, and then he had some stuff. It didn't work. And so anyway, before I get out of here, and I got to start doing this more often. I got to start hitting some of the things that are in the news, sports news. Like, I'm not going to break down the ceasefire on the Gaza Strip. I mean, I could, but I won't. But I want to get into some, like, just some sports stories that happened, like the Mark Sanchez thing. That's like old news now, but I thought that was kind of interesting to kind of dig into. I was going to say funny. It's not really all that funny, although it's kind of funny. Be honest with you, I laughed. You can't choose what you. That's the thing about humor. You can't choose what your sense of humor is. Like, if something makes you laugh, it makes you laugh. You shouldn't laugh at it. There's a lot of things I shouldn't laugh at, but I laugh at it anyway. I go, that was funny. Oh, it's not? Yeah. But I mentioned earlier on that, as you can see, the show's brought to you by Fieldwork. And I told you it's the official non-alcoholic beer of the San Jose Sharks. I also told you after last night's game, non-alcoholic beer wasn't going to do it. You're going to need some octane in your beer. If you watched that fucking game last night, the last minute and 45 seconds, are you shitting me? Like, seriously, are you kidding? Now, I'm trying to, I heard it pronounced a couple of times last night on the broadcast. And I want to get his name right, but I'm not going to, because I'm gonna have to work on this. The Sharks goalie, Nedeljkovic. I think it's Nedeljkovic. Anyway, I'll work on it. I want to keep butchering the man's name since he's their goalie. Although Askarov will play a lot this year too. Sharks were up 3-2, playing a great game against the Knights, back-to-back. Knights went to OT, I think the night before against the Kings. You're like, okay, it's a good setup for the Sharks, good spot for the Sharks. Although I didn't know until I saw it I couldn't find it on TV. Like, where is this game? I'm looking all over the place. Finally found it on ESPN Plus. So I didn't realize until they showed the graphic. The Knights are 14-0-3. I guess 14-0-4 now, or 15-0-4, whatever. Haven't lost a game in regulation against the Sharks in San Jose. Got to change that. Anyway, they're about to change that. There's a minute 45 left. They're good. Minute 50, whatever. Knights face off. Shark zone. Pull the goalie. We're good. Okay. Sharks get the puck. Here comes Eklund. Empty netter. 2 Golden Knights closing in on him, so he kind of lets it go. Didn't quite get enough, and it kind of just missed to the left side. That's okay. Eklund says, "I'll go get it and do a wraparound." We all love wraparounds, so he does the wraparound and about to stuff it in the net. I don't know who it was for the Golden Knights, but it's nice play. Got his stick just in time, kept it out of the goal. You're thinking, okay, that would have been game. 4-2, game's over, but still looking good. Minute 40, minute 45 left. They come back up the ice. Eichel shoots an alley-ooper from about 40, right? It was an Ephus pitch. Just lobbed it up in the air. Nedeljkovic goes in. I'm going to get it. I got it. I got this. Let me slide over here. Right between his legs. Hit the ice, went left between his legs. I'm just sitting there looking at the TV like, what? Like, what? So now it's 3-3. It's like, oh, you got to be kidding me. There's no way that just happened. No way that just happened. So they go to OT 3-on-3, do that for 5 minutes, and then they go to the shootout. And so they have the ball. They have the puck first. The Sharks, I think, win the face-off, and Celebrini has it and he's kind of messing around with it, trying to make something happen. Didn't get anything going on. And then the puck gets spit out toward the red line or blue line. It was the Sharks blue line. And nobody's there, but it's coming, and the Knights are going to get it first if Nedeljkovic doesn't get to the puck first. But it's close. Should I stay in net and just kind of play this thing out? Should I race out there and try to poke it away? I'm going to get out there and try to poke it away. Gets out there, pokes it away off the skate right to Smith. Empty netter. How often do you see an empty netter with a goalie that's actually on the ice? That's how it ended. I mean, that was anyway. So they needed octane. Shark fans, you needed some octane in your field work last night. You know who needed more than field work or needed moonshine were Philly fans. Oh, Orion Kirkering. Yee. That's why in baseball, you got to know what you're going to do with the ball before it's hit to you. Because when it gets hit to you, if you're not sure, you go panic mode. And that guy went full panic mode. It was like, let me throw it home. And then throw it away, and game's over. I'll give Kirkering a ton of credit, though. He stood there at the end of the game and answered every question. That's a dude right there. It's a guy you want on your team. He didn't go out the side door, didn't hide in the training room, answered the questions. I guess for those that didn't see it, I should set it up. It's 2 outs, bases loaded. Bases loaded. Pajas was up, and he hits it right back to Kirkering. And he didn't field it cleanly. So at that point, I think panic was like, panic really started to set in at that point. Picks up the ball. Easily could have gone to first. Like, easily. Paez would have been out by a full step, if not more. But decides to go home. Didn't have time to step, so flat-footed, he throws it to Rio Muto and just wide left. Not even close. And then game was over. And it's just, I mean, that's a rough way to go home. That's the last play of your season was that play. That was rough. That's a tough one to stomach. And I wanted the Phillies to win, not because I like the Phillies or not because I hate the Dodgers, even though most of you do. I just wanted to see a game 5. I wanted to see a game 5. It would have been electric in Philly. Like, we already have 2 game 5s, which is super cool. We have the Tigers going to Seattle tonight, Skubal pitching. I don't know who's pitching for the Mariners. I'm guessing Castillo was the one that was game 1. So I'm guessing it'll be Castillo tonight. But I know it's Skubal for the Tigers. And, Kirby. So Kirby tonight for Seattle. And then tomorrow night, who the hell's pitching for the Brewers tomorrow night? Mizorowski, maybe? Maybe they have him? Doesn't look like they've listed pitchers yet. Image will probably pitch for the Cubs. I'm guessing. But so, yeah, I mean, I just, if I don't have a team in the playoffs, I just want them to go as long as possible. I love single eliminate, like, right, you get to the elimination game, which is why everybody loves the play-in game in the NBA. It's instant single elimination, right? It's do or die, sudden death, boom. We're not going to make you go through a 5-game series or a 7-game series. We're going to give you a game 7 now. Here's your game 7. So that's why people like it. It's still a shitty concept. I'm sorry. 9 and 10 do not belong. Shouldn't have a chance to get to the NBA playoffs and then provide an even shittier team for the 1 and 2 seeds to play. It's just dumb. But we love it. Look, if you're a sports fan, who's not going to be watching tonight? Who's not going to be watching the Tigers and the Mariners? I'm in. I'm absolutely in. And then I love college football. But live, Cubs Brewers. My son walked in the living room last night and says, "Where's the football game?" I go, "It's on the other TV. It's right there." We have 2 TVs in the living room right now. And on the big TV was Dodgers Phillies. And on the smaller TV was the Giants and the Eagles. He goes, we're not going to put the football game on the big TV? I'm like, is that a playoff game? No. Is that a playoff game? Yes. Playoffs go on the big screen. Big screen gets the playoffs. I'm a sports fan. I'm not a baseball fan or a football fan or a basketball fan or a hockey fan. I'm a sports fan. I love watching all the sports. And if you love watching all the sports, playoffs take precedent. Period. So tonight, it's not that there's much of a challenge tonight. What is it, Washington Rutgers or the baseball game? I can do without a little Scarlet Night football. So yeah, tonight. But tomorrow, although I think most of the good college football games are during the day, like 9 o'clock window, noon window. So there may not be that much competition for the baseball game. But even if there were, it's baseball. It doesn't get any better than an elimination game, especially baseball. The one thing baseball has over any other sport is it builds drama. Basketball can't do it. Hockey can't do it. Football can do it a little bit. But did we just go dark? What happened? Do we have an eclipse? Our first show eclipse? What happened, Lou? We got taken off the air for some reason because I said I was going to watch baseball playoffs. But baseball builds drama like no other sport in the playoffs because it has time to breathe. How many outs are there? What's the count? Who's on base? What are the arms in the outfield? What's the speed on base? What pitch selection should you go with? I mean, just all the stuff that you have time to kind of let breathe a little bit. I kind of liked it when I wish the pitch clock were a little bit longer in the playoffs so it could breathe a little bit more. But baseball playoffs are incredible. Like I love baseball playoffs. And again, NBA and NHL, depending on who's playing for different reasons, I love them. But you can't really build a drama when the sport's just back and forth, up and down, back and forth. So it doesn't have what baseball has. That's one of the reasons I love baseball playoffs so much. So, all right, let's throw some comments up there. Ogden, if you want to throw some comments, I will take some. And again, I'm not going to apologize, but I didn't plan for the Bob Myers interview to go a trip down memory lane. I'm sure a lot of people love that, but I kind of wanted to get into this year's team, and I asked about the Kuminga draft. And look, he just said they're going to draft the most talented player, and they thought he was the most talented player. So there it is. But I didn't expect we were going to go trip down memory lane with the old Warriors teams and Bob's rolling them and the trades, the Iguodala trades and the Bogut trades and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I love that kind of stuff. I was going to get into more topical stuff. I did come up with this list, and I might do a more extensive list next week at some point. But I came up with where did I put it? My least watchable players in the NBA and my most watchable players in the NBA. And this isn't a complete list. It's still kind of a working list. I haven't really gone through it as much as I'd like to. But here's my least watchable team in the NBA. LaMelo Ball plays every game like it's a summer league game. Like, bro, you know this is the NBA, right? And these are like regular season games, and they count. Like, this isn't summer league, all right? You're not playing at the park in July. This is the end, like, okay. Shot selection, a little bit. Risk reward on the pass, maybe. I'm not a fan watching him. Trae Young, can't stand watching him play. The compete level on him is low at best. Credible, skilled, not a great shooter. His best attributes is passing. Incredible floater. But I don't like watching him play because you watch him compete and it just ain't there. It's not there at a level it needs to be there, which is why I'll never pick a team led by Trae Young to win a championship. and I'm certainly not picking the Hawks this year. Although they did go out and get some good players. Porzingis, good player. God, I'm blanking on his name right now from Minnesota. Anyway, I like the team they have, but Trae Young's leading it. Not for me. Jordan Clarkson, just not a fan. Not a fan of the come in, jack it up, just kind of that's all I do is just jack up shots. Occasionally I'll get hot. He can get you 30. He can get you 40 if he's super hot, but just not a fan. Kelly Oubre, nah. Nah. Basketball instincts of a rock. See, like I said, I only got like 4. My favorite watches in the NBA, my most watchable players in the NBA. Number 1 most watchable player in the NBA, the Joker. The Joker is absolutely incredible in the fact that he may be the least athletic player in the NBA, certainly in the bottom 1-2% in the NBA, and just dices dudes up and makes everybody on his team way better than they are. Maybe not way better, but better than they are. The Joker is absolutely, unequivocally my number 1 watch in the NBA. Number 2 watch in the NBA, Steph Curry. Steph Curry is just unlike any other. The shooter, the ball handler, the showman. Just, Steph is just watching him play is a joy. Like every chance I get a chance, that makes sense. Not really. Every chance I get better to see him play, go down to Chase and watch him play. He's one of those guys like 10 years from now, I'll be like, damn, I got a chance to call that guy's games. Like and what a joy it is to be around that guy. Again, if you get that guy as a face of your franchise, thank your lucky stars, because there's not a lot of that dude. Not a lot of him going around. There's not a lot of him in the NBA. There's not a lot of him in sports. So the Warriors lucked out in that regard. But Steph Curry, easily on most watchable team. This one's going to come as a little bit of a surprise to you because he's not a star. Jason Hart, New York Knicks. Defends, rebounds, on the floor for loose balls. Like, he's a guy that can get a triple-double and still be your glue guy, still be the guy that's taking charges, still be the guy that gets you extra possessions. Like, I love that guy. I love watching that guy play. Again, he's not great. Yeah, I know he went to Nova. Get out of here. Ogden's got to remind me of all these guys could go to Villanova. And then if it's football, yeah, they went to Michigan. By the way, Ogden, a big fan of the Jaguars, Michigan Wolverines football, Villanova basketball. That makes no sense. You're not supposed to be able to pick basketball and football like in college. Stick with the same team. But Jason Hart, I love watching him play. Kawhi Leonard, I love watching him play. Hate watching his press conferences, like unless he's laughing. Like, as far as charisma and face of your franchise, that ain't it. Can you sell a product? Hell, I couldn't even sell aspirations. I can't. Can I sell this team? Of course I can't. I don't talk to anybody. I don't say anything when I do talk, and I'll let Dennis talk, and no one wants to hear from Uncle Dennis anyway. But when I play, man, dude plays defense. Try crossing over in front of Kawhi Leonard. Good luck with that. He gets after it on defense. Maybe not as consistently as he once did, but his mid-range jump shot, not a lot of arc, but a lot of buckets. He just shoots lasers. It's like bing, 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 bing. 3-point shot, pull-up shot, get him to the lane. Incredible. Like, the simplicity in his game and the devastating efficiency that he plays with. I'm a huge fan of watching him play. Big fan of watching Kawhi play. Devin Booker, love the mid-range game. Like, that guy, I'm more appreciative of Devin Booker after watching him in the Olympics and watching him accept the role and doing stuff that someone's got to do, but all these guys are alpha dogs, and he was like, I don't want to do that guy. He's like, Coach, what do you need me to do? I knew what you need me to do. Get out there and do it. So I just like watching him go about his business and watching him play. So if you guys have any thoughts on most, least, and again, I'm going to try to come up with a more complete list. I was just thinking about that today. Who do I love tuning into to watch in the NBA? And Chet Holmgren. Yeah, I don't know if I'd put him on most fun, but I like Chet. I'm a big fan of Chet. SGA is incredible. I don't know if he's fun to watch. He's ruthlessly efficient getting to the free throw line, and his mid-range game is awesome. Love him. But like Joker's just different, right? Joker's different than anybody in the league. Maybe the best passer in the game at center. The walking triple-double. He can shoot threes now. There's nothing about him that's not fun to watch. And then Steph, of course, we get a chance to watch him all the time. And what he does is just distorts the game with his range and his ball handling and shooting, just everything. So those are some of my guys. Kyrie's fun to watch. Kyrie, maybe the best left hand, best offhand in the game. And if I had to choose, if you're saying you have to choose best dribbler in the game, I've always said it's him and Steph, best ball handlers. But if I had to choose between the two, I'd probably have to go Kyrie. Kyrie's a wizard with the basketball. It doesn't even seem possible. Seems like an illusion what he's doing with the ball. Now, I still haven't seen Uncle Drew, and I'm never going to, because the movie looked like shit. And I'm assuming it was, but I'm not gonna hold that against him. Guys have got an incredible game, incredible handle, and incredible left hand too. Yeah, Kyrie's handles are silly. You're watching, you're like, wow, how did he get to there while he's still dribbling with the ball? Like it's wild. Embiid, I don't like watching Embiid. Embiid's not like Embiid when he's in shape and when he wants to play, although I'm not sure the last time he's been in shape. But as far as fun to watch, nah. Embiid's not fun to watch for me. Transition's a suggestion for him. But not like mandatory. Just like, yeah, man, I get up there. I get up there when I can. So no, I'm not a him. I thought about having Luka's not there. Like Luka, some people would have him on the all watchable team, and some people would have him on the not watchable, like least watchable, just because he pounds the ball. Like James Harden used to be on my least watchable team when he was with Houston. It's like, good Lord. This is like, what are we doing here? We just dribble, high pick and roll, everybody spaces out. But he's not quite like, it's not the same offense. And Clippers will be interesting this year with him. They had Bradley Beal, they had John Collins, they got Kawhi, they got Jones Jr., they got Zubats, they got Lopez Jr. So the Clippers are going to be good this year. But yeah, I don't mind watching Harden anymore. Rockets Harden, hated watching Rockets Harden. This Harden, I don't mind watching as much. Lucas sometimes gets a little ball, dominant and stuff. And I just some people like it. I don't. That's just not. I mean, LeBron's fun to watch. It's all the things he does. Anthony Edwards, I thought about him. I don't know if he's super, but I'd put him closer to fun than he's nowhere near least watchable. He's watchable. There's no doubt about that. He's watchable. So, other guys I thought of, Shingun's not on my most watchable team. Stop. He's not on the least watchable either. He's just a dude who's a really good player. And I think the only player from Turkey, I was looking over a list of foreign players last night, international dudes, because I wanted to know who had the most. And it was Canada had 21, then it was France. Spain has one guy now. One. Sante Aldima. Spain used to have a bunch of dudes. Bro, it's like, are they going to land on the house? Oh. Do we have the Fleet Week at Jets? I thought Fleet Week was canceled. Lori told me Fleet Week, like the Canadian Jets, were going to come down. We're going to have Canadian jets at Fleet Week because of the government lockdown. We couldn't that we didn't have our jets. Like the Air Force wasn't going to be a part of Fleet Week. So I was like, well, and when we get Fleet Week here, Cunningham, yeah, I like Cunningham. I like watching him. I don't know if I'd put him on most yet, but Cunningham is coming. He's fun to watch. But I don't know if I'd have him. But anyway, so Fleet Week, and they fly, when they go over to the Bay, they fly right over the house, and it is loud. It's loud. It's like just, that build up, that it's like, whoa, shit. What was that? And Lori goes batshit crazy. She loves the Angels. The Blue Angels. Not the Hells Angels. We don't want them around the house. Although I do love them in movies. But yeah, I mean, it's loud. But she comes running out. She just loves the sound and the power of the jets. And there's been a couple of times they've been maybe 500 feet over the house, and it shakes the house. Animals not a fan. Hard to believe. Animals go running. Cats literally hate it. Could be their least favorite thing on earth is when the jets go rolling over the house. They're just like, are you fucking kidding me? What was that? And Lou just starts barking. So Lou's good. All right. What else you got? You got anything else? I kind of got the big screen here. What teammates NBA college have you beaten on 101 or Kings of the Court? I haven't played 101 in forever. I didn't play a lot of 101, but I mean, I've probably beaten everybody I've played against once or twice. I mean, I'm sure they beat me more than that, but we didn't play a ton of 101. I mean, when I was at with Golden State, we'd play some 101. We played full court 101, not full court, but we had courts. So you had the court, and then you had 4 buckets on the side of each, front court, back court, and we'd play full court in this one and go back and forth. Mitch Richmond and I used to do that occasionally. Mully, Sharunas. I had to tell Sharunas, hey, come on, let me get the ball up a little bit. All right. I was a pretty good ball handler, but god dang, Rooney, killing me. Like, give me some shots up. But yeah, it wasn't like we played a lot of 101 and stuff like that. So Scalabrini at Rucker. I don't know if I've ever seen the video. I've heard it. I've heard about it. I know people thought I did see the video that one time where people thought they could kill Scalabrini and he just wore him out. People don't realize how good NBA players are. They have no idea the guys at the end of the bench could just work everybody else over. Like, they're just thinking, oh, these guys are scrubs. They can't play. This guy sucks. You do realize, like, there's only 500 or so jobs in the NBA, which puts you in the top, 0.0001% of basketball players on earth. And people think because they go down to the park and hit a couple of J's, like, oh, I could smoke that dude at the end of that bench. Not a chance. You will get absolutely destroyed by any NBA player. It's the same argument we have all the time, right? Same argument we have all the time about college, really good college teams, like the best college teams beating NFL, NBA teams, whatever. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen, period. Scotty Barnes, I like his game. I wouldn't say most watchable just because I don't watch a lot of Raptors games, and they're not on national TV a lot. I've seen him play enough, and like if he gets a jumper, sky's the limit for him because he can defend, he can rebound, he can play make, really good passer. It's just with him, let me check real quick. I'm curious what Scotty Barnes shot from 3 last year. If I were to guess, I'd say somewhere between 34 and 36%, maybe 36, maybe 33 to 30. I'm going to say 33 to 35 is what I'll say. So let's see how close I am. Raptors, roster, Scotty Barnes. Again, I'm a big fan of Scotty Barnes. Would they list him at? They list him as a forward. Although he plays point guard, really. Said he's hurt. Last year, 32 minutes, 19 points a game, 7 rebounds a game, 6 assists a game. Shot it at 44%. I was way too optimistic. 27% 3-point shooter. So, although I stand by what I said. He's got to shoot better. The year before 34, that's acceptable. The year before that, 28. So, but really good player. Yeah, really, really good player. All right, should we call it? Should we go? What time is it? God damn. 3 o'clock already? Well, it's beer time. Although I did have my best and last. This is pretty good. I like this. Now, I only drink that style of beer in October. It's Oktoberfest beer. I'll go back to drinking my pale ales and my IPAs and my German Pilsners and my Czech Pilsners and stuff like that. In fact, I think I might head over to, I think I'm gonna head over to Cellar Maker today. I got some beers out that I wanna check out. And I got nothing going on now. And Camila's going out to Patterson for the weekend with Grandma and Grandpa, and Lori went to Salt Lake City to go see a concert festival featuring Red Stray Clays and Post Malone and who else? Bunch of other people. So Weston's gone. You know what that means for me? Just chilling. Few beers, maybe a pizza, Friday night pizza, and just hang out for the weekend. So, all right, enjoy your football tomorrow. Got some good games tomorrow. Alabama, Mizzou, good one. Ohio State, Illinois, hope's a good one. Oregon, Indiana should be the game of the day. I mean, that's what I'm looking forward to the most. And then USC, Michigan, because it's a Rose Bowl. How many times do you get a Rose Bowl in October? Let's go. Rose Bowl in October. I kind of dig it. Everybody have a great weekend. Be safe out there. And we'll look forward to seeing you Sunday when Bergie will come over and we'll do our post-game show after the Niner game. That's a 125 game. So probably around 4:30, 4:45. Maybe go for an hour or 45 minutes before the Sunday night game. And then Bergie will be off for 3 weeks. We're gonna give him some time off. He's gonna have to do it without pay though. But then of course he does a show without pay, so it's really not that big a deal. He'll be going on vacation, so this is the last show he'll be doing, and then he'll be back and up and running in November. So we'll see you Sunday night after the Niners versus the Buccaneers. Again, show sponsored by right there, Fieldwork, the official non-alcoholic craft beer of your San Jose Sharks. Have a good one, everybody. See ya.